We're joined now by New Mexico Governor Bill Richardson. He is here to talk to us about what the Democrats thought about the interview. Governor Richardson, good morning.
Good morning, May.
You knew that you were going to disagree with her on issues simply because you're a Democrat and she's a Republican. But partisan policy differences aside, how do you think she handled herself in this interview?
Well, obviously she's smart, she's telegenic, she's a governor. I'm a governor. I think you need executive experience, but I think in that interview she failed the national security threshold test. She didn't seem to know what the Bush Doctrine is, which is the foundation of our foreign policy for the last 8 years. She seemed very casual about talking about war with Russia. She was factually incorrect in that many other vice presidential candidates and vice presidents, Cheney, George Bush I, Gore had foreign policy experience and had met foreign leaders. I also noticed that she agreed with Barack Obama's position on going after the safe havens in Pakistan against the terrorists. John McCain has said that's naive, so she's on our side on being tough with the terrorists and going after the bin Ladens.
She has differences.
My conclusion is,
she has differences with Senator McCain. Yes, as she said, with drilling in Anwar, the global warming question. But isn't that a good thing?
Right.
Senator Barack Obama said when he chose Joe Biden that he wants someone who will challenge him when he's in the White House.
Well, the point is that what you want is a vice president who's going to carry out your views. Yeah, you can challenge him internally, but you can't publicly disagree. And I also disagree with Governor Palin's view that because she has some experience on energy independence, that those are automatic national security credentials. Yes, becoming energy independent has become a national security issue, but the main issues affecting this country are nuclear proliferation, fighting terrorists, and I know Governor Giuliani's been very, very strong on that issue. Global warming, now she seems to be changing her position on global warming. So, look, I think these are factual, substantive concerns that I have on the national security front, which every vice president should have. They're, you know, a heartbeat away from the White House, and it's important that our national security credentials for that job be part of the qualifications.
Barack
and
Obama
I saw
has
Governor
more
Palin.
National security qualifications, in your opinion, than Sarah Palin?
Absolutely. Senator Obama has traveled. He's a member of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. He has extensive experience in the Senate on foreign policy issues with Senator Lugar. He passed the nuclear proliferation issue, bipartisan. He's traveled abroad extensively. Yes, absolutely, dramatically more national security experience. And then with Senator Biden, who's been chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee, who has specialized in national security for 30 years, yeah, the ticket of the Democrats is substantially stronger on national security
Right,
issues.
Governor Richardson, but Governor Palin has Senator McCain. If you want to make the Joe Biden interview, the Republicans will challenge you there. And also on the travel issue, you and I as Latinos know that Barack Obama has never been to Latin America. Should something arise with Venezuela or Cuba, would he be equipped to handle that?
Well, he has been to Mexico. It's true. My hope is that there be a visit to Latin America before the election. But yeah, clearly, I think what Barack Obama has said on issues that are familiar to you and me as Latinos, that he's ready to look at a new policy towards Cuba because the embargo isn't working, but we want the Cuban government to do something. He's ready to deal with the Chavez's of the world, with the North Koreans, by having a dialogue, a tough and smart dialogue. Yeah, there is a fundamental difference in the approach on foreign policy between Senator Obama and John McCain. John McCain is more of the same, and Obama is ready to lead America into a moral, political, and economic leadership that the world wants us to take once again.
All right, Governor Bill Richardson, thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor.
Good morning, Harry.
First thing Bill Richardson said was that Sarah Palin failed the national security threshold test. Don't laugh for a second. Just I want to have a serious conversation with you. You would disagree because?
Because first of all, there is no test, and he's making that a test. And she gave an acceptable definition of the Bush Doctrine. The Bush Doctrine can be preemptive war.
Do you think she knew what it was, though?
Well, she explained that it's his worldview. It's his desire to deal with Islamic terrorism. I think she said on offense. Or that would be at least an acceptable definition of the Bush doctrine, which, after all, is not a formal doctrine anyway. It was kind of a. I mean, I don't know.
You think it was a gotcha question?
Kind of, sure. I mean, it's kind of like a quiz question rather than a real question.
This wasn't.
And she handled the other questions terrific. I mean, the whole question about God. I mean, the way it was presented to her, they left most of her statement out, so it was unclear. It sounded like she was talking about God's plan. If you go back to the early part of that, play the whole thing, she was talking about discovering God's plan, praying to discover God's plan, which is, after all, acceptable Christian doctrine.
Here, as I was sitting in my kitchen watching it on the little TV, really wanting to listen and hear every single word, the one thing that gave me pause was when Charlie Gibson says, McCain comes to you and says, be vice president. And she says, I didn't hesitate a second. I've done documentaries on this. People who think about the presidency and the vice presidency, this is the most important decision of their lives. How do you not at least have a second when you think, am I ready for this task?
Maybe she got herself ready before. Maybe she knew that John McCain was coming in order to ask that question. She didn't want to show hesitation. Abraham Lincoln says that when he was going to sign the Emancipation Proclamation, he stopped. Everyone wondered, why'd you stop? And he said, well, I don't want my signature to show any signs of hesitation. So he stopped, and he made sure it was a very definitive signature. So I got a sense of that. This is obviously a very decisive woman. Gosh, that's what we want in a vice president. We want someone who's got some self-confidence. She's got tremendous experience. The whole issue of whether she knows world affairs or not, these are questions that were never asked of Barack Obama, never asked of him.
That's
to this
true.
day.
That's not true.
To this day, he hasn't been asked these questions.
That's
about travel,
absolutely not true.
About travel to other countries?
Absolutely not true. All those questions have been asked over the last 19 months.
Let me
ask you this. Do you have every confidence that she's ready to be president in case she needs to be?
From everything I've seen. I thought she handled last night's interview about as well as anyone could handle it, even someone who'd been there for about 20 years. And the questions that she's being asked are very, very tough questions. Of course, she's in it new for the very first time. You expect that. But you got to give her credit for the way she's handling it.
Would she have been your choice for vice president?
I don't know. As a hypothetical, could she have been? Yes. Would she have been? I don't know the answer to that. No one knows the answer to that until you're actually making a choice.
Mayor Giuliani, thanks so much.
Thank you.